Hello there and welcome back to Day's Health Diaries. If you're new here, my name is Daisy, aka D, and I make weekly videos debunking weight loss myths in the wellness industry. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. You'll notice that there's a slight change in the background. Yes, we still don't have something here, but that's still going to change in a few weeks. But now let's get on with the most important part of our segment today, and that's our weight loss myth, which is you can spot reduce fat. So what does spot reduction mean when we are talking about fat spot reduction? It's actually something that you've come across very many times. It's when your favorite fitness influencer tells you that if you do these exercises for 7 days, then you'll have a flat stomach. Or if you do these exercises, then you'll tone your arms, you'll tone your thighs in 7 days. You'll get rid of belly fat in 5 days. You'll get rid of back fat in 5 days. You'll get rid of your love handles in 5 days. That's spot reduction. That's why you try to target fat in a specific area in your body, and you're only trying to lose fat in that area. And many people do this. Actually, many women like doing this. I'm going to talk about women because I'm a woman. I know what my friends think. I know what I've done in the past. I know what many other women have expressed online. I don't know about men, so I'm going to stick to women. So with women, you find that there's this pattern where people just want to lose fat in a specific area. Women don't want to lose their calves, but then they want to lose that belly fat. Or they don't want to lose their calves, but they don't like the way their arms look, so they just want to tone their arms but keep everything as it is. Or they want to lose their belly fat and then just keep that big bum. So that's spot reduction. I've even seen it with chins. People say that do this exercise and then it will help you get rid of your chin fat, but then everything else stays the same. That's spot reduction. So is spot reduction actually a real thing? Does it actually work? Or is it just another wellness or fitness myth that's out there? Can you actually lose weight in one part of your body and just keep everything else the same? So without much further ado, let's get into this. And here's the spoiler. No, you cannot actually spot reduce fat. But before we get into that, let's get into why people believe this, what the science says, and what you can actually do if you're trying to just lose fat in a specific area. And the key is not spot reduction, but the truth will wow you. Let's get started. So first, let's get into why people actually believe in spot reduction. The first reason is soreness. If you've ever done something like crunches, you keep coming up, and then you feel your abdominal muscles working. They feel like they're burning. And then you think, this exercise is definitely targeting my abs, and that means that I'm working on my belly fat. So every time you do your crunch, you think, oh, belly fat, a crunch, belly fat. Or you're doing push-ups, and then you can feel your arms burning. Because of that burn that people feel, there's this pattern, there's this tendency to associate fat loss with muscle burning. So they think that if I feel sore, that means that those muscles are working and then I'm losing fat in that specific area. The second one, and this is to blame for most of the misinformation that's out there, is the way that influencers and fitness influencers in particular market their programs. And without naming people, specific people, but I'll include a few videos here and you can see what happens. They'll show themselves looking like they need to lose some fat in some area, like maybe I need to lose some belly fat. So they'll show that. They'll show themselves maybe looking a bit bloated, and then they'll say, you can do these 7 exercises and then you'll move from these, and then they'll show a picture of themselves looking really fit with really defined muscles, and then they'll say you can move from this to that by just doing these 7 exercises. Or they'll show you a picture of themselves before they had maybe toned arms, and then they'll say these are the 5 exercises that helped me go from these flabby arms to these toned arms. Not my words, these are the marketing tactics that they use, these are the wordings that they use, this is how they communicate to their target audience, because they know people's pain points. They know that people want to get rid of belly fat, so they'll say get rid of your belly fat using these exercises, get rid of your thigh fat using this exercise, get rid of your cellulite using this. So it's all about that marketing, and at some point the audience gets to think that, okay, it's actually possible to just target fat reduction in the places that I don't want it. Because if this fitness influencer was able to just get rid of her belly fat using these exercises and everything else remained the same, then I can also do the same thing. And that goes for everything from belly fat to back fat to thigh fat to chin fat, every kind of fat. The third one is the relationship between muscle tone and fat loss. Because usually when people go to the gym, what they do, they lose fat. I'm talking about people who are going there with the intention of losing weight. They end up losing fat usually, and then they gain muscle. Let's say that this person in particular had a lot of belly fat, and then they went to the gym, they pushed hard, they changed their diet, they ended up losing their belly fat, and at the same time they were working on their core. So when you look at them, you can see that their abs are popping, and people will think that, oh wow, this person went to the gym and they were able to lose just belly fat. But in reality, what they did, they lost the belly fat and then they built the muscle. And because muscle tone usually looks more defined and you end up looking leaner, people think that because they were able to lose that belly fat, then they were able to just lose belly fat alone. But in reality, what they are looking at is a result of two things: the loss of body fat as well as the local muscle development. Because again, we've said that this person has worked on their abs. So because of that fat loss and this muscle development, that person ends up looking leaner. And then you can see their abs and then you'll say, oh wow, that person actually was able to lose fat in just their abdominal area. But in reality, there was more to it. So those are the 3 reasons why people will think that it's possible to spot reduce. But what does the science actually say? Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you have watched any of my other videos where I have debunked weight loss myths, then you'll know that I always like taking a scientific approach. So before we get into what you can actually do, let's talk about why science says that spot reduction is not possible. Let's start with the first reason. And this is where we explore the role of hormones. When we talk about fat storage in your body, we mean that that fat has been stored in your adipose tissues. And these tissues are across your entire body. So when you exercise, your body releases specific hormones such as adrenaline, and these hormones travel across your entire body again, and they signal to your fat cells that it is time to release that stored energy into your bloodstream so that your body can use that fuel as energy for anything that you're doing, whether it's working out or it's your non-exercise activity. And now this is the part where we come back to the localization. Because your fat cells are spread throughout your entire body, your hormones send those signals throughout your entire body. This means that when your fat cells are releasing this stored energy, they release it across your entire body. Just because you're doing crunches does not mean that the fat cells around your abdominal area are the only ones that are going to be involved in this process. Instead, the signals will go throughout your entire body, and this means that even if you did not want to lose fat in your arms, you'll find that yes, some of those fat cells have been contacted. You'll find that the ones in your chin have been contacted, the ones under your eyelids, like fat cells across your entire body are going to be involved in the process of providing energy, which will be used by your body for its activities. So your body does not actually select where this energy comes from. It just sends an overall signal across your entire body. Now let's talk about point number 2, where we talk about the muscle contraction and fat burning. Now this ties to point number 2, where we talk about localized exercise and the effect that that has on your muscles. When you work out and you engage a muscle, you use its energy stores as well as the systemic energy reserves. That means that even if you're just doing crunches, yes, you'll use the energy stores around that muscle, but then you'll also need energy from other stores across your body. And that means that even if there's this fat layer that's on top of that muscle, you're not just using the energy from that layer of fat. You're also going to rely on the rest of your body. If someone tells you that if you do crunches, then you'll only be burning the fat that's on top of your abdominal muscles, that's not entirely true. Yes, you will use the energy reserves in those muscles, but also across your entire body. So again, point number 2 points back to point number 1. So even if you feel the burning, just know that yes, you're engaging those muscles. That's going to help in the muscle development. But when it comes to fat burning, it's across your entire body. And number 3, let's talk about genetics, because this is something that people are becoming more aware about. People are talking more about it. You will hear someone say that just because you work out like person A and you eat exactly like person A, that does not mean you look like person A. But why is this the case? Where we store and lose fat easiest comes down to 3 things. Actually, it's more than 3 things, but in this case, I'll focus on 3 things. The first is our gender, the second is our age, and the third is our genes. And genes especially play a very big role in this. Okay, let's compare men to women. Men will generally store their fat around the abdominal area as well as their love handles. So you'll see that when men start gaining weight, you notice that they protrude a bit to the front and a bit to the side, and then they'll have a little more of loving going on here. But with women, you'll find that most of that fat goes to their thighs, it goes to their butts, it goes to their hips. And this is the biological nature of fat storage between the genders. But then it's not just about whether you're male or female. It also comes down to your genes. And that's when we start talking about body shapes. For example, in my case, I tend to gain weight more in my abdominal area. I'll also gain weight in my upper arms. I'll gain weight in my face. And then I'll also gain weight in my thighs and my butt. But usually, if I want to know if I'm gaining weight, I'll look at my abdomen. If my belly is protruding more than usual, then I know that I'm gaining weight, because it will start here, then it will go here, then it will go here. So that's my genetic predisposition. That's where my fat goes based on my genes. But then there are other women who will notice that if they start gaining weight, it directly goes to their thighs. By the time it shows up on their stomach, they have already gained a lot of weight. So it's important to think about that, because it means that for me, if I start losing weight, I'll first lose it in my stomach, because that's also where I gain it easiest. For another person, they'll find that when they start gaining or losing weight, it focuses on another area. Maybe it's their arms, or it's their thighs, or it's even their lower legs. People are different, and that comes down to the genetic programming. You cannot really beat that, but you can work with it. And that's what we'll talk about in the next segment. At this point, we can say that it comes down to your biological factors as well as the way that fat loss works generally. It's not a localized activity, it's something that's systemic, it's throughout your whole body. But does that mean that you cannot actually lose weight in specific parts of your body? This is where it gets interesting. Let's get into what you can do to lose weight in specific parts of your body, because this is not a doom and gloom series. We also talk about the sustainable activities that you can engage in to make sure that you achieve your weight loss goals in the long term. So what can you actually do if you just want to lose belly fat? First, we have to be very honest with ourselves and remember that we cannot actually choose where we're going to lose the weight. Again, it comes down to our genetics and other biological factors, as well as the fact that you're also going to lose weight throughout. You're going to lose your fat throughout your body. That's how your body was designed. And I just kicked the camera, so if you see it shaking, that's why. Yes. Okay, it's all stable now. So what can you actually do knowing that you cannot actually target a specific part of your body? This is where we're going to get into very important points. Point number one, if you want to lose fat, you have to get into a calorie deficit, because at the end of the day, fat loss comes down to calories in versus calories out. Of course, I also have to add the disclaimer here that all calories are not equal. I already covered that in a previous video, because that means that yes, you can lose weight when you're eating your burgers and your Oreos and your sodas, full sugar sodas. That's okay, you can actually eat that and end up losing weight, but it will affect how you feel and how you look. And again, here you're focusing on a specific look, which means that you really want to focus on your macros and your micronutrients, and that means you cannot just eat anything. So as much as you're working towards a calorie deficit, you also have to think about the kind of food you're eating. It has to support your goals. And in this case, I'll just tell you the same thing that I will tell my clients in my Better in 90 program. And that means that you need to look for high quality foods. You need to look for foods that you actually enjoy eating as much as they are nutritious, because you're not really going to be eating rice cakes if you don't like rice cakes, or spending your day drinking lemon water and you don't like it because it's supposed to burn fat. No, you have to find foods that you actually enjoy and you can actually keep eating. And another part of getting into a calorie deficit is adding more movement into your life, but I'll cover that in the next few points. So you have to come up with your calorie deficit, and it has to be a range that you can actually stick to for a considerable time. So let's say you're going on a calorie deficit for 3 months. It has to be something that you can actually adhere to for 3 months, because if you're cutting calories to like 1200 calories per day and you're coming from eating 2500 calories per day, that's too much. It has to be something that's enjoyable, that's sustainable, that yes, leaves you feeling a bit hungry but not starving. You should not be starving on your calorie deficit. And there's no need to eliminate complete food groups, because you don't need to eliminate all carbs or all fats. You don't need to do any elimination unless you have any allergies or food preferences. When it comes down to it, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. It does not matter whether you're eating keto, carnivore. It does not matter whether you're vegan. If you're in a calorie deficit, then you're in a calorie deficit. Again, I'll also have to touch on the fact that you have to vary your foods because you want to get enough macros and enough micronutrients. Now, let's say you've gotten the calorie deficit done. That means that you're going to start losing fat systematically. But now let's talk about how you make sure that you are targeting a specific area as you do this. Point number 2 on this journey is that you'll need to build muscle. I love muscle. I love muscle. Yes. And that's the key to achieving that lean look that you want. If you want a lean look, you have to build muscle in that target area. Let's say that you're trying to lose belly fat. We've already said that you cannot spot reduce belly fat, but here's something that you can do. You can spot develop muscle. Yes, you can do muscle development in target areas. That's the good thing about building muscle. For example, I've seen many people who want to have a flat stomach, and what they do is that they achieve the illusion of a flat stomach. So what they'll do, they'll build their lower body through strength training, then they'll build their upper body through strength training, and then they'll also train their core. So when you look at them, they're looking leaner, but then a bit bulky. It's not really going to be bulky because I know some women are afraid of the idea of being bulky, but it's not going to be bulky. It's that you're going to look lean. I'm going to attach a picture here to show you what I mean. So the idea is that you're going to have a well-developed upper body, a well-developed lower body, and so your proportions are going to look a bit more like this. Maybe you are like this, you'll just find that you look like this. It's not that your belly has reduced. Yes, you did reduce some by fat loss during your calorie deficit, but then now you have the illusion of that really flat stomach because what you've done is that you've built your upper body and your lower body. Another way you can go about this is just lose fat overall and then strength train overall, because the more that you strength train, the more definition that you get in your muscles, and then you just end up looking, well, like you're leaner. You look like you have a flatter stomach, you look like you have toned arms, you look like you have toned thighs, and toned is just another word for lean, muscular. But then, people have to use toned because if you use toned, then it's like, that's something that you can sell. This is your 28-day guide to toned arms, your 28-day guide to toned thighs. It's just a marketing gimmick because what you do to tone is the same thing that you'll do to build muscle. Actually, to build muscle, not build muscle. So toning and building muscle is the same thing. So what people do is that they sometimes just train their entire body, and you'll find that you'll end up looking more defined, and that will help you look like you've lost weight, like you've lost fat in those specific areas that you are targeting. So let's say if you did not like the way your thighs looked, and now you've built muscle in your thighs, and then you just look more toned. It looks really nice. So you can either build muscle around the target area, or you can just build muscle even in the target area. It will end up looking nice. The third one will tie back to the first one where we talked about a calorie deficit. Calorie deficits come down to calories in versus calories out. So here's an easy way to increase your calories out, and that's increasing your non-exercise activity. I'm not talking about the time that you spend in the gym or the time that you spend working out in general. Now we're talking about the things that you do outside working out, because here's the thing. Many people will go to the gym and then they'll push hard for that 1 hour or 2 hours, and then when they go back home or to the office, they just sit down. They don't really do anything else. And then you'll find that there's someone who did not go to the gym. They just spent their day being very active. They maybe walked to the grocery store, they walked back home. At home they were busy, they were cleaning, they were cooking. So at the end of the day, this person who did not actually go to the gym has a higher calorie burn than the person who went to the gym, because the person who went to the gym just went, pushed hard at the gym, and then that was it. And the truth is that at the gym, you don't really burn as many calories as you will think. For example, if I do strength training for maybe, let's say, 30 minutes, that comes to about 130 to 150 calories. It's really not much compared to if I was active the entire day. And then maybe I was taking more steps, I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was just being very active, and then my calorie burn would actually be higher than what I achieved by strength training or by doing Zumba. So the idea here is to just be more active throughout the day and increase your calorie burn. So just try to increase your non-exercise activity by just doing simple things. Take the stairs, walk to the store, walk home, dance a little when you have time. Take a break every 1 hour and you're working, and walk around for 5 minutes. It's just simple things that will help you increase your calorie burn. Now that said, We have come to the end of yet another video. I want to thank you for being here, and like I promised, I'm still working on that reaction video. I'm still learning how to set up everything to make sure that the audio is right, the camera quality is okay. I have been facing a few issues with my camera quality. Maybe you noticed in the previous video. I'm hopeful that this video turned out okay and the audio is clear and the camera quality is good. Thank you for being part of this weight loss myths series, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until next time, bye bye.